Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
continue our glorious celebration of Kartik Mas. And we have the upcoming festival of Govardhan Puja. In our Vedic calendar, Govardhan Puja marks the new year. It's the embarkment on a new year filled with spiritual bliss and happiness. So, in honor of that, I thought we could read today from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Sri Shukadev Goswami explains this pastime spanning 4 chapters. Anytime Shukadev Goswami spends time on a particular topic, the duration of time he spends is some indication of this importance. You know, he had only 7 days to speak to Parikshit Maharaj, so he wasn't going to waste any time with any frivolous matter. And wherever he spent some extended time, we can ascertain that there is something of great importance. And so this Govardhan Puja and the subsequent lifting of Govardhan Hill, as we see depicted here, Krishna holding a Jairaj, is a very important pastime for us. It's a very important festival. We can say it's one of the most important festivals in our Vedic calendar, because Govardhan Puja was directly initiated and started by Krishna himself. He started this worship of Govardhan. He personally instructed exactly how to do it, and then he did it with all of his family members. So we can see its great importance in us. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have the opportunity to also celebrate this Govardhan Puja exactly how Krishna instructed it to be performed. And though we may be halfway around the world from Sri Vrindavan Dham, Govardhan will descend here in Detroit also. By the mercy of all the devotees working so hard, will build a Govardhan Hill, which is non-different from Govardhan in Vrindavan. So we'll discuss that. And it's a great opportunity for us. So we'll read this first verse of 24th chapter, and we'll read the first couple verses. So verse 1 is,
Sri Shukadev Goswami said, while staying in that very place with his brother Baladev, Lord Krishna happened to see the cowherd men busily arranging for a sacrifice to Indra. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami and other acharyas, the word tatra eva in this verse indicate that Lord Krishna stayed in the village of the Brahmanas whose wives had satisfied him by their devotion. Thus he gave his mercy to those Brahmanas as well as to their chaste wives, who had no one to associate with except their husbands. In that place, the cowherd men, headed by Lord Krishna's father Nanda Maharaj, were somehow or other preparing an elaborate sacrifice to Lord Indra. And Lord Krishna reacted as follows. Verse 2. Being the omniscient supersoul, the Supreme Lord Krishna already understood the situation. Yet, he still humbly inquired from the elders headed by his father Nanda Maharaj. I'll read text 3. My dear father, kindly explain to me, what is this great endeavors of yours all about? What is it meant to accomplish? If this is a ritual sacrifice, then for whose satisfaction is it intended? And by what means is it going to be executed? So Krishna is asking the cowherd. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaryam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sakana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Satya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So, what is the central place of this pastime? Vrindavan? Within Vrindavan? Govardhan. Right? So what is Govardhan? We can discuss before we get into the pastime. Well, before we get into that, this pastime has many lessons, many learnings from it, like all of Krishna's pastimes. He performs different activities for the purpose of instructing us on the process of devotional service. So, in this pastime, we see how if Krishna really loves us, he breaks our pride. He says, standing with an iron rod. If he really has mercy upon us. And we'll see the dangers of pride in our practice of devotional service, and how we should beg for Krishna and his devotees to help us break our own pride. Sometimes a little painful to endure, but very beneficial for us. Second thing we'll see is where we can find real shelter. You know, the material world is an ocean of difficulties, and where we can find real shelter. And we'll see it'll be none other than the Supreme Lord. And the third thing we'll see in this pastime is Krishna's extraordinary reciprocation with his devotees. How he reciprocates with the desires of his devotees in unfathomable ways, in very unique ways, and how he is eager to give everything he has to his devotees. So we'll discuss these three principal morals. There will be other lessons in this pastime. So this chapter is called Worshipping Govardhan Hill. So Krishna is establishing Govardhan Hill. Now Govardhan eternally resides in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan. When Krishna expressed his desire that, to Srimati Radharani, that, we'll go to the material world to perform our pastimes, she was not so anxious. And she said, I'll not go wherever there is no Vrindavan, wherever there is no Yamuna, and wherever there is no Govardhan. She said, I'll not go. Krishna cannot go anywhere without Srimati Radharani. So he said, okay. So what did he do? He manifested Vrindavan, Yamuna, and Govardhan in the planet Earth. And Govardhan, how it reached Vrindavan, we'll discuss maybe a little later, time dependent. But Govardhan originates from the spiritual world. So it is a very holy place. In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami is giving the holiest of places in which, the most potent places in which one can practice devotional service. And he gives a hierarchy. And he says, higher than even Vaikuntha, right? The spiritual world, Vaikuntha lok, higher than Vaikuntha is the land of Vrindavan. Well, he first says the land of Mathura on this planet Earth. So higher than the spiritual world is a place that exists in this material world. That is beyond our first realm of understanding. So that is a fact. And he explains why. Because Krishna himself walked in this land of Mathura. In Vaikuntha, he doesn't walk. There he walks it in a different form. So, higher than Vaikuntha even is this land of Mathura. And within this district of Mathura, the higher than that, the most potent place within the district of Mathura is Vrindavan. And the holiest of holy places of all of Vrindavan, the 12 forests of Vrindavan, is Govardhan. And within Govardhan, we know Radhakund is the utmost of all places. So this position of Giriraj, of Govardhan, is very, very high. It is the topmost place in the universe. And we have an opportunity to even see it. Anybody has been to Govardhan? So we all can desire today that we can go there tomorrow. It can happen. It can happen. And if we really desire, we can go there on Monday. And we'll be there in the temple. So this is the highest position of Govardhan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given one rock from Govardhan. We call it Govardhan Shila. And he would wear it on his neck every day. And he would perform Abhishek to it with the tears of ecstasy of his pure love of Krishna. Every day he was bathing Giriraj. It's so important that he would wear it around his neck. Sanatana Goswami, every day of his life, performed the opportunity to circumambulate Govardhan. Every day, even to a very elderly age. So we understand by many different factors that this Govardhan is very, very auspicious and powerful in our process of devotional service. And so that's the central theme of this pastime. So now let's rewind back to the beginning. So it says in this verse that Krishna, while in this place is he has just delivered the wives of the Brahmanas in the prior chapter. And in that area, Krishna saw Nanda Maharaj and the elderly cowherd men. And they were preparing for Indra Puja. And Krishna decided to ask these questions, like a young child does. Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why? These questions come, right? So Krishna is asking these questions. And at first, Nanda Maharaj is, not paying so much attention, thinking it's just, boy asking some questions. He'll get diverted to some other thing after a short time, right? Sometimes fathers do that. But Krishna had a superior motive. He understood that Lord Indra had become proud from his position. And we say, Paritranaya sadhunam vidnashaya chadushkatam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami vijayite. Krishna, Paritranaya sadhunam. He protects his devotees. He protects his devotees. And so to protect his devotee Indra from his pride, he decided that he had to divert the attention of Nanda Maharaj and the elderly cowherd man. He was not doing it to make him angry. He was not doing it out of envy. Why are you worshiping him? You should worship me. No. He was doing it because he understood that pride in the practice of devotional service is very, very dangerous. Our bhakti is compared to a creeper. It's called a bhakti lata. It's like a vine. And in a garden, if you have a plant growing, you have to water it and you have to nourish it. But if there are weeds growing in the garden, when you add water and fertilizer, those weeds also grow. So in order to protect the desired plant, we have to pull out these weeds. Like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes that there are impurities in the heart. They are like weeds in a garden. And if we don't remove them, they can overtake the bhakti creeper. And so pride is one of those impurities that can overtake our spiritual process. It is very dangerous. We see it even in the material world. Anything good comes out of pride? Nothing. We say, right? Pride comes before the fall. We know it. So in spiritual life, it is a very dangerous aspect of our consciousness that we must remove. And so Krishna performs this pastime to remove Lord Indra's pride and to remind all of us that we should be conscious of our own pride and find it and remove it like the weed in the garden. And sometimes, as Lord Indra will find, we need someone else to show it to us. And Krishna is going to show it very elaborately. So he told Nanda Maharaj, why you're doing this sacrifice? And Nanda Maharaj said, well, we are doing this sacrifice to please Lord Indra. He is providing rains for all of us. And we know what existence we have without clean water. Without water, will we have any foods to eat? So without water and food, you can have billions and billions of dollars. Will it do you any good? You can have the most beautiful form. You can be the most famous person, the strongest. Without the water and food, can you survive? So Nanda Maharaj is saying, Lord Indra is our maintainer. So we must provide some sacrifice. All the foodstuffs that has been provided by his own rain, we are offering back to him as sacrifice. So Krishna encourages sacrifice. But we know that he is Bhoktalam Yagnatapasam. He is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices. So Krishna begins to actually put forth some atheistic philosophy, this karma mimamsa philosophy, saying, why are you worshipping Indra? You just do your duty and good things will come. Which is not true. But Krishna was really trying to get at Lord Indra because he was trying to break his pride. Indra had become proud of his position, being the provider of rains. But Lord Indra is only working for Krishna. Right? So Krishna tells Nanda Maharaj that you don't worship Lord Indra. We are living in this forest. Everything that we are living on is coming from Govardhan. When the waters come off of the hills of Govardhan, they are enriched with so many minerals we are using the water to cultivate our fields, and that is why nice crops are growing. Our cows are grazing on Govardhan and eating the nourishing grass, and thus are giving plentiful milk. We are taking the flowers from Govardhan and offering in the various worship we are doing. So like this, our whole existence is from Govardhan. So we should worship Giriraj. And Nanda Maharaj and the elderly cowherd men were thinking, wow, this is quite a proposal. You can imagine how Indra is feeling. Krishna is saying, don't worship him, worship some rocks, a mountain. He's really getting. Nanda Maharaj says, okay, we'll do that. Let us finish this Indra Puja, and then we'll do this Govardhan. And Krishna said, no, there is no time. We must do it now. The children are very emphatic. We've got to do it now. He says, you've acquired so many, huge supplies of bhoga. Now, we should do this Govardhan Puja. So Nanda Maharaj relented and said, okay, how to do? This Govardhan Puja had never been done before. And so Krishna said, what we should do, we'll call the Brahmanas and we'll ask them to chant the very Vedic hymns. We'll bring cows and we'll decorate them very nicely and give them in charity. And we'll make a huge offering and anukut, a mountain of offerings, and we'll offer to Giriraj. And so we should make, big piles of rice lakes of dal, sweet rice, mountains of pakoras and samosas and sandeshes and rasgullas, and the list went on and on and on. Everybody took prasad, they're not feeling hungry now. So he said, we make all these items. We should empty our storehouses of the ghee, of the grains, of the vegetables, and we should make this offering, and we'll offer it to Giriraj. And then we'll feed all of the brahmanas, we'll feed nice grasses to the cows, and like this we'll carry on the ceremony. So Krishna gave the how to do, and so Nanda Maharaj and the elderly cowherd men acquiesced to Krishna's plea. Again, the explanation of Krishna's philosophy is very important, but in the interest of time, we're skipping that. But so the Indra Puja was negated, and now the Govardhan Puja was going to take place, and we can imagine how Lord Indra is feeling now, quite upset. And Krishna took all the residents of Vrindavan, and they went to Govardhan, and they brought all their offerings. They made a huge and beautiful display of all the offerings at the base of Giriraj. And there again, the brahmanas were chanting hymns, and they were offered nice charity, And then Krishna had decorated all the cows. He had asked Nanda Maharaj to decorate the cows with fine cloths and jewels. And how many cows Nanda Maharaj had? 900,000 cows. So how many cows must have been in Govardhan at that time? Unimaginable. And then Krishna made a very important statement. He said, we should even feed the dogs who have come. Even the dog eaters. Everybody should be protected. And he's showing us that we must care for all living entities. While Krishna is, the protector of the cows and brahmanas, right? We say, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha. Go and Brahmana. Cows and brahmanas. Hita means protector. He is a protector of the cows and brahmanas. But he also said, after they have been fed, we should then feed all of the different personalities. Even the low-class people are worthy of our protection. So like that, he gave great instruction. And he then said that now that we have chanted the mantras, we have fed the brahmanas, we have made the offering, we should then begin to go and circumambulate Govardhan. And he inaugurated this process. Today, if you go every day, tens of thousands of people, devotees, will walk the full perimeter of Govardhan. It is about 22 kilometers. And it is a very auspicious activity in our spiritual life. And Krishna inaugurated this process. And so he had the brahmanas lead, followed by the cows. And then all of the residents carried on. And they performed and went all the way around Govardhan. They wore fine clothes, their finest clothes, dressed up nicely. Mataji's enjoy that part of the festival. And today you go on Govardhan Puja, you'll see this. I mean, just going on Govardhan Puja day, you barely have a place to walk. It's so many people. But all the residents of Vrindavan, they come all dressed up, very nice, fancy. It's a beautiful festival. And it's just a flow. You don't even have to walk, you just push. You just move. Your foot are barely on the ground. You're just walking. And you do Govardhan Parikrama like that. So today still millions of people are doing this like that. So Krishna, established this festival. And when they came back to where they started, Krishna wanted to show that this worship of Govardhan isn't just worshipping some pile of rocks. That he was non-different than this Giriraj. And so he assumed the form of Govardhan and began to eat all the offerings. And our acharyas explained that Krishna was still there, 7-year-old boy. And he assumed the form of Giriraj, and he was eating all the offerings. This gigantic form, lakes of sweet rice, and big, big rasgullas and samosa, all the offerings. And he ate everything. And Krishna said, see, the Supreme Lord has come and has eaten all of our offerings. And then he offers his obeisances to Giriraj. He's offering obeisances to himself. But he's showing, and then all the rest of Vrindavan followed suit and offered their obeisances to Govardhan. And understood that Giriraj is not different than Krishna himself. The devotees will take, Prabhupada comments in Krishna book, they'll take small stones and put on the altar and worship as Krishna himself and the deity form. It is Krishna. And will perform all various types of worship to Giriraj. As I mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipping Giriraj on his neck every day. So, this great festival and celebration, you can imagine the very festive mood that took place. Everybody was enjoying very nicely, and then the festival ended. Everybody was in bliss, but who was not in bliss? Lord Indra was defeated by the words of Krishna. Because that all those offerings, you can imagine, you think, oh, I'm going to eat all the rasgullas and samosas and sweet rice, and then I don't get any of that. What our mood would be? We would not be happy. Right? So you want to hear what his mood was? So this is chapter 25. I'll read a couple of these verses. Shukadev Goswami said, my dear King Parikshit, when Indra understood that his sacrifice had been put aside, he became furious with Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men who were accepting Krishna as their Lord. Angry Indra sent forth the clouds of universal destruction known as Samvartaka. Imagining himself the supreme controller, he spoke as follows. Now hear how he speaks. Just see, this is Indra said, just see how these cowherd men living in the forest have become so greatly intoxicated by their prosperity. They have surrendered to an ordinary human being, Krishna, and thus they have offended the gods. They're taking shelter of Krishna just like the foolish attempt of men who abandon transcendental knowledge of the self and instead try to cross over the ocean of material existence in the false boats of fruitive ritual sacrifices. Now this is where it gets really deep. He continues. These coward men have acted inimically toward me by taking shelter of this ordinary human being, Krishna, who thinks himself very wise, but who is simply a foolish, arrogant, over-talkative child. Wow. So you can see, what does pride do? It covers, we lose all of our intelligence. Imagine you went into your boss's office and said, you are a foolish, arrogant, talkative child. What would your boss, how long would it take for your boss to say bye-bye? That's what it did. Who's his boss? Who does he work for? The Supreme Lord. Right? He is not the independent controller. Krishna is. But due to pride, one loses understanding of who we are. It is pride that brought us to this material world. We said, why you, Krishna? Why not me? So we may laugh and think how Indra made such a mistake. But remember, we made a bigger mistake. And now we are in the process of undoing that mistake. And what was one of the root causes of that? It was pride. So this pastime is an opportunity for us to celebrate the removal of our own pride. Let us take it in the right consciousness. It is very, very important. Right? But you can see that, as foolish as it would be to go to your boss and speak like this is what pride can do, right? It covers our real consciousness. So what Lord Indra did, he brought this Samvartaka cloud. So at the end of each yuga, and at the end of each cycle, and at the ultimate destination, these, waters come to inundate the world of destruction. different sources come, but one of them is from Samvartaka cloud. So he brought this very torrential rains to Vrindavan. And he thought, let me flood Vrindavan and kill all the cows. The source of these cowherd men, their wealth is their cows. So he went right for the jugular. And he was not messing around. He said, let me kill all the cows. This is the source of their prosperity. They have become proud of their prosperity. And he began to shower. Now in our Acharya's comment, Samvartaka did not want to come. They knew how we can go and try to devastate Vrindavan. But Lord Indra said, no, I'm coming with you. And he came on Airavata and said, I'll be there to give you force. But actually Samvartaka did not want to come. They had some hesitation, knowing right from wrong. But they still came under the urging of Lord Indra. And so torrents of rain was coming to Vrindavan. What kind of rain? It's explained, Shukadeva Goswami explains, it was raining as if columns were falling from the sky. Giant, such heavy rain, it was heard hail. It was very cold and dark and windy. And the cows became very fearful. The calves became very scared and were hiding under the bellies of their mothers. All the animals were fearful. So much rain had come so quickly you could not see high ground from low ground. And everybody became scared. And so what did they do? Where did they go? When they had no other choice, no other hope, they went to Krishna. And they sought shelter of Krishna. Said, Krishna, please help us. And this is very instructive for us. Krishna is our only shelter. He is our ultimate Savior. In Bhagavad Gita, he gives the peace formula. How to find peace in the heart. It is when we are fearful of something, we don't have peace. And the residents of Vrindavan knew anytime they had any type of fear, Krishna, Krishna, save us. And they would go to Krishna. He says, Bhoktaram Ignatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. He said, I am the well-wisher of all living entities. And one who knows this, Yatma Mam Shantim Jichiti. One who knows this finds peace. So the residents of Vrindavan knew Krishna was the only source of peace. We face adversity in life, we face anxiety, we face fears. But it is the shelter of Krishna that can ease us from all difficulties. And thus the residents of Vrindavan went right to Krishna and said, Krishna, do something! So Krishna said, okay, I can do something. Now, interestingly, Krishna is standing on the porch of his house. And some Vartaka clouds have come. Right? Now, he could have very easily went, the clouds would have gone away, no? So difficult? He could have called Ananta Shesh, Balaram, bring Ananta Shesh, put a hood over, and none of the rain would have reached. Right? Could he not have done that? So why did he go? We know. What does he do? He goes to Govardhan. And he lifts Govardhan. And provides shelter. So why he does that? There are many reasons why he does that. As I mentioned, Krishna is always fulfilling the desires of his devotees. So, the pastime of Govardhan. When Govardhan descended from the spiritual world, it first took place in the mountain region. And in the mountain region, he was situated there. And Pulastya Muni had come from Varanasi to this region. And he saw this very beautiful Govardhan. And he said, where I come from, it's very flat. And there are great sages there performing great spiritual practices. They would enjoy the opportunity to see and worship Govardhan also. So he asked Dronachal, the father of Govardhan, can I have him? And Dronashal reluctantly gave to Pulastya Muni Giriraj, Govardhan. So Govardhan agreed to go with Pulastya Muni, but on one condition. He said, "You can lift me." Pulastya Muni is a very powerful mystic. How big was Govardhan? It was 8 yojanas long. That's 40 miles. It was 5 yojanas wide and 2 yojanas, 16 miles high. So quite a big piece of earth. A giant mountain. But Pulastya Muni is a great mystic sage, so he picked. And he was going over, and as Govardhan was flying in the hands of Pulastya Muni, he saw Vrindavan. And he's remembering the beautiful Vrindavan from the spiritual world. And he's thinking, oh, Krishna is going to appear here sometime in the future. I would like to reside here. So he became very, very heavy all of a sudden. And Pulastya Muni, becoming fatigued, put Govardhan down in Vrindavan. And after taking some rest, Pulastya Muni went to pick back up Govardhan. But he couldn't move it even an inch, because Govardhan said, "Wherever you put me down, I will stay." Pulastya Muni forgot that. And so he became actually very angry, because now Govardhan was stuck. And he cursed Govardhan actually, that by every day you will lose your height by 1 mustard seed. So every day Govardhan is shrinking into the earth. Now you don't see 16 miles high. In some parts you see only 30, 40 feet high. That's because by the curse of Pulastya Muni, Govardhan is losing its form by 1 mustard seed every day. So Govardhan was residing in Vrindavan for a long time. And when the devotees of Lord Ram were building the bridge to Lanka, we know Hanumanji and the Vanara army, they were bringing big rocks and boulders and trees. And they had cleared all of the big rocks and boulders of southern India. And Hanumanji had made his way all the way up to Vrindavan. And he saw Govardhan. And he thought, wow, this would make a great part of our bridge. And so he was about to pick up Govardhan. And Giriraj became very ecstatic. Oh, I can be used in the service of my dear Lord Ram. He'll walk over me on his way to Lanka to rescue Mother Sita. He was ecstatic to be a part of service. This is the mood of devotee. Whatever service they may provide. He was attached to Vrindavan, but he was more attached to the service. And so, as Hanumanji was about to pick up Govardhan, he got the WhatsApp message that the bridge had been finished. There was no more need of any more. And so Hanumanji went back, and Govardhan was crushed, thinking, I was about to be used in the service, and I didn't get my opportunity. So when Krishna is residing in Vrindavan and the devastating rains came, he said, don't worry, I will now lift you, and you can be used in my service. So that is why he actually goes to Giriraj and picks up Govardhan to fulfill the desire of Govardhan. Govardhan wanted to be picked up and used in the service. And now, because Krishna had so many means to stop the rains, but specifically this. And it's Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains, as Krishna was walking from his porch to Govardhan, all the clouds had separated by one of the expansions of Yoga Maya's potency, and not one drop of rain had landed on his turban or any of his beautiful clothes. He stayed completely dry as he walked to Govardhan. And so he picked up Giriraj. And he picked up Giriraj with 2 hands, with 1 hand, but with his left hand. And not only his left hand, with his left finger, but actually not even his left finger. He was carrying it on his left pinky fingernail. And he is holding Giriraj. Did he have big muscles? Actually, when the devotees first were asked by Prabhupada to draw this pastime, they drew Krishna with these giant muscles. They said, he's 7. He doesn't need giant muscles. It's a 40-mile long mountain, 16 miles high. He said, no, he is not lifting with material machinery like you and I. He is the Supreme Lord. Ananta Shesh is holding millions and millions of universes. And it's like a piece of dust on his head. It doesn't even register a universe. So what he needs to lift just a 16-mile high mountain? Nothing. So as if an elephant lifts a lotus flower, Shukadeva Goswami explains, Krishna lifted Govardhan. And then he invited all of the residents of Vrindavan to take shelter from the rain. Now let me ask you this. I ask this every day. If I was holding a rock here, would you walk underneath it? No. If your father and mother, who love you the most, were holding a giant rock, would you walk underneath it? These devotees were so much faith in Krishna. He's holding on his finger, teetering, a 40-mile long mountain. And they're standing underneath it. He says, don't worry, it won't drop from my hand. You can come and take shelter here. How much faith they had in Krishna. How much love they had in Krishna. You know, we have so much doubt. Is Krishna hearing my prayers? What's going to happen to me in this situation or that situation? But the residents of Vrindavan, they know. Krishna says, come under the mountain. They come under the mountain. Krishna's walking into the mouth of a snake. The cowherd boys going after him. They don't think, they know. Oh, they're walking into a snake. Krishna must have some plan. They do. This is the consciousness, full of faith in Krishna. So, Krishna's holding Giriraj like this. Torrents of rain are coming, and all of Vrindavan is gathered. And our acharyas comment that mathematically, mechanically, all the residents could not fit under Govardhan. Right? Think about a whole city, how it can come. But it's not just a material piece of earth. Giriraj accommodated all of the residents of Vrindavan, all of the cows and calves, animals, different belongings, and everybody had gathered under Giriraj. Why he brought everybody here? So one reason he lifted Govardhan was to fulfill the desire of Govardhan. But why he could have, again, and everything would have gone away, and all the residents would have been safe. Why he brought them together? Well, one of the desires of all the residents of Vrindavan, one of the things that they lament, is Krishna has this Astakaliya Leelas. Right? There are 8 parts of the day, and during each part he does different pastimes. But the devotees are always lamenting that, Mother Yashoda in the morning, she has the opportunity to wake up Krishna, to feed him, to bathe him, to dress him. But then, we know, after morning is done, he wants to go and play in the forest. And all the cowherd boys are very eager. Krishna, hurry up, get ready, get ready. We want to play. Right? And the cowherd boys are playing with Krishna, but they know also they have to come home, right? Everybody has a curfew. And so then they have to come home. And then Mother Yashoda gets to enjoy. And then in the night the gopis are enjoying. But everybody is trading Krishna. Nobody gets him. They're always lamenting, oh, we don't get enough time with Krishna. We wish we could have him to ourselves uninterruptedly. So this desire was manifesting in the heart of the residents of Vrindavan. So Krishna took this opportunity, and in lifting Govardhan, all the associates of Vrindavan gathered with Krishna. And for 7 continuous days, they had uninterrupted association. No, time running out, running to the next pastime. Each and every devotee was enjoying with Krishna. 7 days, uninterrupted. and how sweet the interaction was. That 7 days the residents were there. They didn't eat. They didn't sleep. They didn't rest. Nothing. What they were doing? They were simply in awe of seeing Krishna hold Giriraj in his left hand, left finger. They could not drink enough of the nectar, the beauty of Krishna. And you think if all of the residents of Vrindavan came, like if you go to get darshan in the temple, right, it is very packed. You're way in the back, and you have to fight your way to the front just to see. But here, there was no elbowing. Why? Because Krishna was reciprocating with all the devotees. Everybody had a front row seat to this darshan. Nobody, you can think, if Krishna's in the middle, and you have everybody around, somebody would be on the back side, right? Somebody would be on the side, somebody would be on this side, somebody would be front row, second, third, like this. But Krishna is so mystic. And he's showing something here very important to all of us. That the relationship with Krishna is very personal. It is not diluted. If I have a relationship with 5 people, and I give equal time, I can give each of them 20% of my time, right? But if I give one person 40% of my time, then the other 4 get 15%. It's a fixed sum. Why? Because we are limited. But when Krishna gives 100% of himself to devotee A, devotee B also gets 100%. And devotee C and D, billions, every single living entity has this experience. And Krishna was showing this in this Govardhan pastime. When he's lifting Giriraj, every devotee is seeing Krishna up front and personal. And they're thinking, wow, I have the special darshan. Yet they were all enjoying it. And this is what awaits us in the spiritual world when we awaken our relationship with him. It is not a one of a distant, it is a very personal. Because Krishna is unlimited, his ability to reciprocate with all of us is also unlimited. And so like this 7 days, can you imagine anything we have seen for even a few hours before we get tired of it? The most beautiful painting, the most beautiful scenery, whatever it might be. But Krishna is so unlimitedly all attractive. Not one bit of tiredness, no fear, no hunger, nothing. And they enjoyed to their heart's content, fulfilling their desire of uninterrupted association with Krishna. And so for 7 days this continued. Finally, Lord Indra realized, I had made a huge mistake. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes that after the residents had reached Govardhan, every drop of rain that hit the ground immediately evaporated. So Indra is thinking, why is there's no flooding happening? And you might think, wait a minute, so Krishna lifted Govardhan, but if the flood happens, the waters will come in. But he explains, not one drop actually stayed on the ground. It evaporated immediately. Giriraj was being showered with so much rain and lightning, but not even one leaf on a flower was disconnected from its plant. Nothing was touched. And Lord Indra understood the supreme position of Krishna. That over-talkative boy was his supreme master. And so he called off Samvartaka. The sun came back. Krishna said, okay, now residents, you can all go back to your homes. Everything is fine. And then Krishna put down Govardhan. Exactly where it was. Not even one pebble was moved. You could not tell. It was put back exactly in the place. And they all went home. Many other things happened. But one very interesting thing happened in chapter 26 is called Wonderful Krishna. So the coward men, I don't think I talked about this last year. The coward men are wondering, they're like, wait a minute, what just happened? This 7-year-old boy lifted this mountain for 7 days and we are standing under it. How that's possible? That someone like that could lift such a giant mountain. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments that during the time they were just immersed in love. They had no time to analyze and think. You know, sometimes we overanalyze and think, is this really Krishna standing in this deity? So when they were in under Giriraj, they were just in full bliss. But after they went home, they said, wait a minute. How the same boy who is stealing butter from everybody's house, who is talking gibberish and doing this and playing games and, you know, all these things, how this same person could lift this mountain? This makes no sense. Doesn't pass logic. So they went to Nanda Baba. And Nanda Baba were confused about your boy. He seems to have the Supreme Lord type potency, lifting this mountain, yet he performs these childlike behaviors. And Nanda Maharaj explains what Garga Muni had told him. That, yes, this Lord, Garga Muni basically told him this is the Supreme Lord, but not quite, to allow this parental rasa to take place. But ultimately tells him that this is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not ordinary Krishna. But then they again forget and treat Krishna like this, young boy. And that gave Krishna so much pleasure. So this analysis took place by these men. Actually, during the lifting of Govardhan, at one point the men thought, let us help Krishna. So they started lifting with their sticks and everything. And they're lifting, and Krishna's observing this. And he's thinking, wow, these people think they're actually lifting this mountain. So he just moves the mountain just a little bit. Oh, no, you do it. And then they put their sticks down. So after this, Lord Indra realizes his big mistake. And he comes to Krishna. Actually, Shukadev Goswami describes that he met Krishna in a secluded place. Krishna did not want to embarrass Lord Indra. So he met him in a very private place, right in Govardhan. And there, Lord Indra falls at his feet, his effulgent helmet at the feet of Krishna, and says, I have made a huge mistake. And he says, due to pride, I lost understanding of who I am. I misunderstood who you are. And he offers very beautiful prayers, repenting. They were going to make mistakes. But we should not let pride get in the way of acknowledging our mistakes and owning up to them and begging for forgiveness. So Lord Indra understood his mistake and he performed Abhishek of Krishna. And there Krishna says, to my devotees I show mercy and break their pride with this iron rod. A very sweet statement. Because when our pride is broken, it's a little painful. Right? It's painful in the heart. But we should be very grateful to Krishna and to his devotees when our pride is broken by them. Because it is for our benefit. Krishna did not need the puja to be performed for his satisfaction. He was not hungry for rasgullas. He wanted to help his devotee, Lord Indra, make progress in devotional service and pull out this weed of pride from his heart, so that it would not overtake his bhakti. So he performed this pastime. He did it so miraculous. He didn't say one word to Lord Indra. Notice that? He didn't have to say one word to Lord Indra. He didn't get angry. He simply performed his pastime. And this is how Krishna performs. He does so many pastimes. In this one pastime, he broke the pride of Lord Indra. He fulfilled the desire of Govardhan. He fulfilled the desires of the residents of Vrindavan. And he blessed all of us with the inauguration of this Govardhan Puja and showed us how we can celebrate this great festival. So on Friday in the temple, on Monday in the temple, we'll have this Govardhan Puja. It will be an Anukut, a giant mountain of offerings. And if you circumambulate that 4 times, that is non-different from doing parikrama of Govardhan. Just as Krishna did with the brahmanas and the cows and all of his family members. So if Krishna took his own family members on parikrama, we can imagine how important it is for all of us and how blessed we are by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he brought this Govardhan Puja to the whole world. And in every continent, hundreds of cities around the world, devotees will have an opportunity to celebrate this festival. So we're very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for bringing this festival to us and bringing us the Srimad Bhagavatam so that we can understand the glories of Govardhan Puja. There's many other things to discuss, but in the interest of time, we'll end here. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Giraj Maharaj ki
Jai.
Govardhan Puja ki Jai. Koti Vaishnavinda.
Nitya Krishna Prabhu ki.
Any comments or questions before we chant? Yes.
So, when you said 4 times going over the offering is the same thing as Govardhan, doing Govardhan Parikram, is that like in Shastra or Srila Prabhupada said that? Or?
Srila Prabhupada referenced that in one of his presentations on the Pastime.
Another question. Indra didn't know that Krishna was God originally?
Originally he knew. If you read this chapter, the prayers of Lord